Right. They need to know their knives stink in like nicer terms, right? So I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up here. Do 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 do. And all right. So before we dive into this page, a couple things here. What are the biggest issues? So I want to kind of go through a few teaching points here. What are the biggest issues that people have with their knives? Like when you think about where do people buy junk knives, normal knives? Yeah, Walmart, Dollar Tree, Target, Bed Bath and Beyond. All of them sell good quality items, but none of them will ever sell high quality knives. And I think that's what's important to understand is most knives that people buy, how much do you think the average knife costs? Like cheap. What would you guess? You say? Sure. And let's I do think it's around 20, but let's just say $10. Okay. So, how many knives do you think the average American has? If you count their steak knives in the drawer, in the block, normal cutting knives. I mean, y'all have opened up your parents' drawer before. It's like a bunch of junk in there, right? At a minimum, would we agree that everyone has what? Sure. And let's say that we even bump that number way down to 10. Okay. So, how much have they spent? Every person that you see this week, how much would they have spent on knives? $100 or more. How long do you think a $10 knife will last, work well, and stay sharp? And everyone would agree maximum 2 years, right? It's really like probably a month or 6 months, but let's just say 2 years. So if they're 40 years old and they're cooking for another 40 years, God willing, that would be 20 replacements, which is not too hard to believe because how often have you replaced your phone at your younger age in life? Are you with me? So it's not too hard to take into account that amount of replacements. So really, they didn't spend 100 on their knife set. How much are they going to spend in their life? 2,000 bucks, and that's only if they had 10 knives, which is half of what we said, and that's half of the price that we said. So really, it's more like they're going to swing between 1 and 5K on replacements. They're going to swing, right? It depends on their stuff. So can they buy Cutco for less than 2 grand? What do you think? Of course. Can they buy Cutco for less than $1,000? And even if they spent the same, where would they be happier? Are you with me? Like, so this page is all about helping them see this. What are other things that we go into on this page? What are the types of handles that people would have? Wood, plastic. Have y'all seen any other types of handles? Okay, and those are the three main ones. Without looking at the paper, wood handles. What do you think is wrong with wood? Like it looks nice. Nice and soggy. That's not awesome, right? I want you to think about, yeah, so think about wood. What happens to it's a sponge, right? So if you have chicken, raw chicken, and you're taking out of the package and you wash your hands, you pick up that raw chicken. Now your hand is full of salmonella, bacteria, chicken blood, just a bunch of nastiness, right? What's the next thing you do with that hand? You pick up the knife. And then what soaks into the handle? All that nastiness. Now, also, whenever you cooked, have you ever looked at the stovetop and what's all around the stovetop after you've cooked a big meal? Yeah, like all grease and like it's like all over the place. That soaks in. Dust, which is dead skin, soaks in. All the germs that you get the point. So over time, and by the way, when they put it in the dishwasher, it's not like the dishwasher reaches inside the wood and pulls out the bacteria. You know what I mean? Like, so what do we know? What word would you associate with wood then? Wooden handles. If there was one word, it'd be gross or nasty, right? So what about plastic handles? What do you think would be wrong with plastic handles? They melt, chip, crack, and break. And they're slippery because when you're going back and forth with a knife and you're going back and forth, what's going to happen? Slip up and cut your hand potentially. The analogy that I always use with my customers is if you have a plastic handle, like the ones we're using over there. So would you go down a water slide with stainless steel knives at the bottom? No. Would you send your kids down a water slide with stainless steel knives at the bottom? Because it's dangerous. What you're doing is your plastic handle is the water slide, and what's at the bottom is a blade, a stainless steel knife. So every time that you cut, you are literally going down a water slide into a stainless steel blade. Does that analogy make sense? These are things that I'm sharing with them because I'm educating them so that they, again, feel like they need to replace their knives because they do. Then we talk about construction. So I know you guys don't really know knife anatomy, which is fine, but do you know what this is called when the blade goes all the way through? So this is called a tang of a knife. Okay. So good knives have a full tang. So do y'all see how you can clearly see that it goes through and through? So therefore, what would a crappy knife have? Like it would stop, and y'all have all seen those type of knives where it's a solid chunk of plastic or wood and then the knife. So the way that do you look on the right margin in the middle of your page? Do you see where it says pen example? You want to show them, take a pen, and you show them, you can visualize because humans are big on visuals. So what you'd want to do is explain to them, Mrs. Smith, a full tang is when it's all the way through. So it doesn't wiggle, it's sturdy. So then how would I show a partial tang? Halfway. Ms. Jones, you see how it'll wobble? This is your knife over time, it is going to break. So that's the pen example. Rivets. Every knife, if it's a good knife, has rivets, which are screws. Most rivets are made out of brass or cheap stainless steel that expands and contracts. What would happen to this knife if these screws, if they got bigger and smaller and bigger and smaller, what would happen? What do you think? Come out, fall apart, knife would fall apart, all that. Okay. Then we talk about the types of steel. Carbon steel rusts. Stainless steel is like goes dull fast. And then there's two types of edges. There's a serrated edge, which is like the one with the teeth. If you think about ones with the teeth, what happens when the teeth wear away? And then you can't put teeth back on because they're not a steel artist or whatever, right? So then they just buy the knife to throw it away. And then straight edges have to be resharpened all the time. Okay. So a couple things on the knives though. When you have a standard set of knives that you buy in the store, what usually always comes in the knife set? Like, right? What does that tell you about the knife set? Right. The funny part is they never actually sell you a sharpener. It's a honing rod. So it doesn't really sharpen. It gets it good for about a day. And they have to resharpen because they're never actually sharpening it. Okay. So keeping that in mind, let's look at page 3. I want you to kind of look at the top. What's the first line that we say? Who is next on the popcorn? Is it you? All right. Say that first line for us.
Next to the gym.
Right after that, you'd say Mrs. Blank.
Most people have the world's most expensive set of knives. The average knife set is designed to last 2 years, so most households waste a ton of money replacing cheap knives over and over again. You probably know this better than I do, but cheap knives have a lot of problems.
So I'm going to pause you there. Now, do y'all see where it says review in timesheet? So you want to, when you say replacing cheap knives over and over, you want to pause there, and on the slideshow that you've been clicking through, what you're gonna see is this. See this in timesheet? Here, I'm gonna zoom in. See this? This is in all of your slideshows. That's why it says click next to junk knife. You're gonna see this. Okay. Now, by the way, does that math look familiar?
Yeah.
We just did it. So all you do then is you just walk them through how you just read the paper. Mrs. Smith, most people have 20 knives at $10 a pop. That's $200 in knives you have right now. You're going to replace them every 2 years. So in your lifetime, you're going to replace your knives 15 times. That's $3,000 for the cost of replacements, or 1,500 if you don't replace them that much. And you're spending all that money on knives that are ripping and tearing food, hard on your hands, cluttery and not attractive like that picture, and hazardous and unhealthy. So when it says review in timesheet, that's what it means. Then I say, you probably know this better than I do, but cheap knives have a lot of problems. Yada, yada, yada. I also want to help you understand this. There's a rule. Can y'all write this on your notebook somewhere? Not in your manual, but somewhere. So 55-38-7 rule. So if Virginia wants to communicate her whole point, she has to understand that 93% of her point is communicated through nonverbals. And when I say Virginia, I mean all of you, right? All of you need to understand that you can't just read. Your voice inflection matters, your body language, your facial expressions. So that's why it tells you when you talk about wood handles, what face does it tell you to make? Crow's face, right? When you go through, you have to like kind of sell the sizzle, where it's like you're not just reading like a robot, you're using it tactically, right? So watch how I do this. I want you to read along with me. I'm going to start it. There are two types of handles. Watch what I do with my language and stuff, okay? So there are, and then they'll be looking at this. So now there are two types of handles, Mrs. Smith. Now, wooden handles, they're attractive when they're new, but they're extremely unsanitary. They absorb liquids, bacteria, grease, germs, and they even retain odors. I don't know if you know this, but the FDA has banned wooden handle usage in restaurants in many states due to sanitation concerns. And the University of Wisconsin, they actually did a study and found that there's more bacteria in one wooden handle than a public toilet bowl. Did you know that? And then they usually, if I'm making this face, then what face do you think they're making? And then they're like, no, I didn't know that. And they start looking at their knife and they're like, oh God. And then I take it a step further. I'm like, so it'd be more sanitary, literally, to go to 7-Eleven, take your hand and stick it inside the toilet bowl and rub it around and then drive home and prepare food for your family. It would literally be more sanitary to do that than to use a wooden handle. So we got to help you get rid of all these. Wouldn't you agree, Mrs. Smith? Oh, yeah. Right. And then I'm like, you know what's worse than wooden handles? Plastic. And I go to plastic. I don't always do that. You know what's worse? I usually am like, yeah, now another type of handle is plastic handles. Now, Mrs. Smith, they're usually cheaply constructed. So they melt, chip, crack, and break. And the face that I have here is like if my little sister was in traffic, like the concern. Like, can everyone show me your concern face? All right, you guys get it. So it's kind of like my concern face, right? They they melt, chip, crack, and break. Now there's slippery and wet, which is extremely dangerous while you're cutting. So I want you to think about this. For example, water slides are made of plastic. Well, they get slippery when wet, obviously. So when you're cooking, Mrs. Smith, your hands get wet, oily, greasy, and slimy because you're doing a bunch of stuff, which makes you more likely to slip up and cut yourself. And I don't know if you know this, but one of the most common reasons for emergency room visits are actually knife accidents because people cut themselves because they don't have the right knives. Now, in addition, common knives are constructed very poorly. Mrs. Smith, most knives have a partial tang with less steel, and I'd pick up their knife and show them. You see how your blade stops halfway through? So that means that they made it with less steel, which makes it weak and unbalanced, so they could break really easily. So a partial tang, Mrs. Smith, is when they didn't even bother to put the blade all the way through. It's halfway. So it's going to break. What would be better is full tang. Now, most rivets, Mrs. Smith, these are rivets, they're screws. Now, most rivets, like the ones you have, they're made of cheap stainless steel, which what happens is they expand and contract over time. So this is eventually going to rot out and the handle will fall off. Okay. I'm going to pause here. Do you see how it would be pretty much impossible for someone to like listen to you go through all this? You're pointing at their knives, showing them the knives. They're going to understand why they need new knives. Is everyone with me on this? Okay. After that, we go into steel and we talk about the different examples. So carbon steel looks good. Soft metal won't stay sharp. All that stuff is down there. We don't have to go through the rest of it. But you go through, at the end, you'll say, let me show you how Cutco solved all these problems. This box down here. So we only read this box when they have those brands. Wusthof, Schooner, Henkels. Now, you only read that box when they have it. If not, you skip it. And you'll know because you would have went to their kitchen and stuff and found it. Okay, questions on page 3. So let's recap. What are the most important things that you remember on this page? Because it's all right there in front of you, the information. Yeah. 93% of your communication comes down to your body language, your voice inflection. That's great. What else? Huh? Yeah, make sure that you're using their knives like out at the table or whatever, or on Zoom, holding them up and like using it as the example. And then what word do we associate with wooden handles? Plastic handles. Yeah, dangerous, slippery. What is a partial tang? Yep, it's only halfway through. What's wrong with the rivets of most knives, the screws? Expand, contract, and rot out the handle, and they makes the handle fall apart. What's wrong with stainless steel, which is what most people have? Stainless steel, if you look on your page, it is so it doesn't stay sharp. And that's why it goes dull so fast. And then at the bottom, what's wrong with serrated edges? The ones with the teeth. Rip and tear, and when the teeth are gone, the knife is useless. They throw it in the trash. And then straight edges have to be resharpened out all the time. Now, when we go into the next page, which is how we can solve all their problems, it's page 4. And that's when we start going into, well, what do we have that helps them? What I want you to know too is this page we just reviewed. This determines what we just went over, how frequently you sell. So like, you know how I said our top people, they have a 90% closing? That's because they nail this page. But if they don't feel like they need Cutco, then you'll get a lot of, oh, maybe later, like type of thing. Right? All right, let's look at page 4. Some stuff to highlight here. What word do we keep highlighting? Y'all ever been to an expensive store before? And if so, what store have you walked into? All right, cool. And what, like, if you ever been to a designer store, a really fancy store, or a nice car dealership, what's the vibe? Expensive, right? Like, it's almost like it's soft, it's mellow, it's like, you know? So when you have Cutco, you're gonna get a polishing cloth from us. And if you've been to an expensive store, they always they always wear white gloves and stuff. So don't get the oils and the whatever, right? It's all just a sales pitch. You don't actually have to wear white gloves, you know? But it's all in efforts to make you at ease when they tell you that the Louis Vuitton bag is 4,000. Everything that they did leading up to them selling the price is to build value. Does that make sense? So that way, when they tell you it costs 4 grand, you're not like, what the, right? That is the purpose of this page. So what do you think our tone is on this page? So we're going to talk like Mrs. Jones, right? We're going to have a little more, you don't have to whisper, but you're going to be over here. Now there are 5 features that make Cutco the world's finest set of colors. By the way, I'll teach you this more as you get better at the job and you're here longer, but body language is important. Whenever I want them to agree with something, I nod my head yes. Right? So there are 5 features that make Cutco the world's finest set of coloring. Now, present it. And when you guys present Cutco, hey, Steph, do me a favor. Can you get a polishing cloth out of the closet? Thanks. When you're on Zoom, you'll just polish the knife and be like, oh, look, and show them. When you're in person, you're going to polish the knife and present it. Okay. What did we learn about the handle earlier today? What's special about it? Yeah. Yeah. The type of handle is a wedge lock handle. So it fits in snug left or right handed. Nice and good. Okay. So when we first get the knife, we'll say that do y'all like the red, by the way, or no? Some people like it, some people don't. Thank you. So you'll have a polishing cloth. It's even has our logo. And you want the customer, if you're in person, they're sitting right here. So watch how I do this. Okay. Now, Mrs. Smith, there are 5 features that make Cutco the world's finest set of cutlery. Okay. Now, I want to go ahead and take out one of my Cutco knives. You'll have a little sheath, you'll pull it out. Just gonna give it a quick polish here, Mrs. Smith. Okay. Then when I hand it to the customer, are you with me? Like, okay, and why am I doing 2 hands instead of one? Build value. What looks more expensive? Are you with me? Right, right. It's like, so you're like, right, versus like, here you go, right? Like, it's all about how you build the value, right? So how much do you want them to think this one knife costs? Like $500. So you have to treat it like that, where you're polishing it like a diamond. You don't have to do that if you don't want to, but whatever. It's something that you might want to do. And then when you present it, if they reach for it with one hand, what should you say? Careful, Miss Smith, 2 hands. It's expensive, right? You hand it to them. Now, again, if you don't, you might not be ready to do all that yet. All you got to do is polish it and hand it with 2 hands. And all the extra stuff is just along your journey, you might get there eventually. If not, it's fine. Then we say, how does that feel in your hand? And they'll say, oh, it feels great, honey. Like, oh, yeah. And you'll be like, yeah, what you're feeling is the first feature. And then you just start going into it. Now we're known for the wedge lock handle, and then it gives value building points. So everything here, what is the whole purpose of this page? To build what? Value. So everything on this page is value builders. So who did we pay $1.4 million to make this handle? Thomas Lamb. And what's cool about Thomas Lamb? He studied over Yeah, and he also designed polio crutches and bicycle handlebars. So that guy, Cutco contracted him, paid him $1 million in 1950 to design this handle just for Cutco. No other company has it. That's pretty dang cool, right? But also 1 million back then is like 15 million today. So our company heavily invested in this wedge lock handle so that it's comfortable and safe for the customer. Do you see where it says this makes Cutco more expensive? It's the third bullet. You want it to look like this. This makes Cutco more expensive, but it's worth it. You want to emphasize when you go through. Sometimes I like to do the scared ghost eyes. This makes Cutco more expensive, but it's worth it because it's comfortable and safe. Because again, what's my only objective of this page? To build what? So make sure everything you're doing is designed to build value. If you do this page right, what do they not tell you at the end? The knives are too expensive. If you do this page right. The second feature, what is this material? Tells you. So the second feature, the second bullet. There you go. I'm just making sure all are awake. Thermo resin handle. And what's so special about that? Doesn't chip or crack. More importantly, it's a very, and we want to emphasize it. So it's like, it's an expensive, very expensive material to use, but it's dishwasher safe. So what that means is no more unsanitary wood rotting handles in your kitchen, Mrs. Smith, right? And this, when you're done with it, no need to hand wash. Just dump it in the dishwasher. It won't rust, it won't chip, it won't crack, it won't melt, it won't break. Now, thermo resin, what makes it so strong? It's also used in, so yeah, if 300-pound men can smash into each other at 20 miles an hour, I'm pretty sure it'll be okay for the kitchen. Okay. Third feature, full tang. You'll see the blade goes all the way through. Using the extra steel obviously costs our company more money. The rivets, they're not cheap stainless steel. What are they made out of? Not quite. Nickel silver, right? It's okay. So yeah, the nickel silver, and those are the same rivets. The same nickel silver is the same steel that who uses? NASA and their space shuttle. So like, you know how they have to use something to bolt the doors down and stuff. They use nickel silver because it has really high heat tolerance. Then the fourth feature, high grade steel, okay? It's high carbon mixed with stainless steel together. It's not like one or the other, so it mixes the best of both worlds. As you'll see, guys, Cutco is super shiny, very reflective, very pretty, but it's also going to stay sharp for a long time. Now, by the way, using this type of steel is very expensive. And I do that too. I lean in, I'm like, expensive. You know, you don't have to be silly with it, right? Like, obviously, I didn't look like a fool when I did demos, right? So it's not like I'm like, hey, expensive, right? I'm not like sitting there being a goofball, but I need to make sure that it emphasizes, right? Like, whatever that means to you, it can't just be all the same word. Okay. All right. The fifth feature is our most famous. It's our Stay Sharp Double D Edge. So let's take a look at an example of the differences between Common Knives and Cutco. And we cut rope because it's tough like meats and vegetables. Go ahead and put a star where you see that on your page. It's easy to forget the rope cutting. At that point, you'll pull out a piece of rope. You'll hold it and the customer picks up which knife first. What's the first knife you want the customer to use? Their serrated edge knife. And it says it right here. Number 1, normal serrated. Number 2, their straight edge. Number 3, Cutco, right? And you get super excited. It'll do it in 1 or 2. No matter how small the lady is, they'll always get it in 2. And their knife will probably be, never let them quit. Like you want them going for like, one time the lady was like at 100. I'm like 101, 102. And I was her cheerleader. I was like, you got it. You got it. She was like looking at me. She's like, can I stop? I'm like, no, keep going. Right. Because I want her to realize how bad her knives are. Okay. In a nice way. And then we read the bullets at the bottom. We last 7 to 10 years sharp. All the knives can be resharpened. And it's very expensive technology. And it really is. We have a black diamonds that chisel out these edges. It's crazy. And the technology they use behind it, it's nuts. So we should charge a lot more than what we do for Cutco, truthfully. But because we do volume, like we don't have to charge as much. So, all right. So if you do this page, what will they not tell you at the end? They'll say that they won't say that they're overpriced. You know what I'm saying? Like if you don't do this page, then at the end it might be too expensive for their budget and you'll show them a smaller set, but they'll never think, wow, that's a ripoff. Is what we're saying. Okay. All right. Let's go to page 5. You guys are doing great. We got this page and 1.5 more, and then it's only a 9-page script. So at this point, we're halfway through the whole presentation. So let's look at 5. Y'all are some champs. You'll have the click next up top that we want to highlight, and then the bottom portion right here. You guys like house music or not really? No? What do y'all, what is like, what do y'all listen to?
A little bit of everything. Yeah.
Okay. So what are your nevers?
Country.
Never country? Okay, rock music? Okay. Everyone's different. So 0 consensus? You ever heard of Two Friends? I have some Cutco mix tracks that I could play for you. They dubbed over Classic. You know the song? Classic. How does that go, Steph? Do you know how that song Classic starts? It's this song. Y'all heard the song? Oh yeah, definitely really old.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I know this song.
Yeah.
Everybody knows.
So they dubbed this, and it was 2 like 3 Cutco guys like dubbing the track.
Fine.
Once you hit your first promotion, I'll be able to. I don't think they're ready for it yet. Yeah, there's a whole like SoundCloud archive. Yeah. That's what happens when you work with a bunch of college kids. They're eventually going to do something like that, right? All right. Yeah, this must be old because this is even old for me. So, all right. So the guarantee, the reason that you can make a sale on every demo, the forever guarantee. So it covers everything except lost, misuse or abuse. We only charge half price when they destroy it intentionally, like putting it through a paper shredder, melting it into their stove on purpose. Like, but we usually can tell because they'll send it in and it's like mangled. So if you want to make a note that unconventional use means like intentional destruction, not accidental breaking.
You see that often?
No. But it's happened. There's a whole section of the factory where it's like the stupidest returns area. And literally someone sent in their stove.
What?
Like their whole stove. They mailed it to the factory and they melted in an entire set into the thing. There's another one where the guy put it in a microwave. You know what I mean? Like stupid stuff. And I have seen the paper shredder thing. It's real. Someone literally put their spatula through their paper shredder. For sharpness, go ahead and add in, we can also come to them. So under the second policy, it says they can send it back to the factory, but they can also request us to come to their home for free. We'll go and sharpen it up in their house for free. Best part of the guarantee, we have a money back for 3 weeks. So anytime, let's say you do your first demo and it's with your neighbor, and your neighbor, after 3 weeks, if they don't think it's absolutely worth every penny that they paid, they can get a full refund, no questions asked. So that's a cool part. I think the best part about that too is a 20% deposit program. So let's say, what would be a big order, guys? Like if a customer spent this amount, it would be a lot. 10 grand? All right. What's a moderately large order then? Okay. So let's say it's $1,000. So what that policy says is if she's not fully sold, she just puts down 20% of that, which would be 200. So we'll charge her credit card $200 and we'll send her the whole thing. And she has 3 weeks to try it before she starts paying on the rest of it. So you can close a lot of sales if they're like, I don't know, let me think about it. You can be like, yeah, think about it for 3 weeks. 20% deposit, you can get the whole thing. Now we pay you up front though. So if you do a 20% deposit, we'll pay you on the full sale because we have less than a 1% return. Okay. Okay. So when would you not read this? Like that one block in the center, when would you not read that at all? If both are together. So we only read the thing that says the spouse is not present. That only is read when you're meeting with the wife alone. If they're together, you just skip that block and read the rest. If you like Cutco, you don't have to make a buying decision, blah, 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 all that. This question is really important too. And y'all tell me if you can think of any, but can y'all think of any products that you guys own that you can buy one time, use every day of your life, and never have to pay to replace them? You want to ask that just like that to your customers, they'll be baffled every time, and you're like, yeah, Cutco. Right? All right. And then at the end, you go through, there's a testimonial video as well. We'll cover that tomorrow. All right, let's go to page 6. We got some highlights here. If you haven't noticed, you're highlighting the same question over and over again. So just go through both pages and find those questions and all the clicks. Bring chips to work day. That's not it. I never met a girl like you ever took a star in the book, 7 in the thing, and we keep it up like 6. Here's page 7. All right, so Looking at the top of page 6, that first line there, it says, Mrs. Blank, you can buy individual pieces, but most people agree that over a lifetime, sets are a much better value. And you do want to read it just like that. You can buy pieces, but most customers agree that over a lifetime, sets are a way better value. Then you explain why. And then you tell them about our best sets. What are the names of our 2 best sets, guys? It says our best sets for customers who like to cook. So if you're at the top, does everyone see where it says our best sets? And it's highlighted in bold, complete and medium sets. So there's 3 main sets that Cutco sells. Okay. We have a complete, we got the medium, we got the basic. On these 2 pages, it's only covering what's in the basic set. Okay. If you could wave a wand, which set would you want to sell every time? The medium is what you'll end up selling a lot of, and then the basic as well. I believe the medium is what everyone needs minimum. Basic is if they're on a budget or have no kids. Complete is if they want to splurge a little bit. They have a little extra cash. Our goal is if you look towards the bottom, well, not really, it's at the top. I want everyone to see where it says our best sets for customers who like to cook. Does everyone see that? Yeah. If we want to sell the bigger sets, then we have to get excited about them. So you want to sound really excited about the complete and medium. And how do you want this one to sound? This is the basic. Yeah. So it's like these, and then there's that. Right, with these, that's like these are the best in the world, and then we have this if you have to. That's like kind of the idea behind it. What I've learned is that if they start with this one, they're just going to upgrade to these in 3 years. So if they start with these, they'll just be done with knives, and then they can start on our pots and pans, forks and spoons, fishing, hunting, and gardening. So what is the first knife in the, what is this set called? The basic set. What's that first knife in that set? Paring knife. And you do not have to say the length of it. You don't have to say paring knife 2 3/4. It's only if they ask. So what's the paring knife used for?
Peeling.
Yeah. So you ever seen mom or dad do stuff like this, like in the air? So it's like that, and they can use it on a lot of different things. So what foods would they be using this with? Potatoes, small stuff like strawberries, bananas in the cereal, kiwi, avocado, stuff like that. Right? Now, after we tell them what to use it for, we say, if you had this, what would you use it for? Why are we asking that? Definitely. What's the sales objective behind it? Boom. That's what we want. Now, if it's clear as day that they're like, oh, I do a ton of that, then you don't have to then say, so if you had it, what would you use it for? If it's evident and clear that they would use it, don't repeat just because it's there. But then you'll notice what we do is we say what not to use it for. What's the next line? It says, great. It's basically for, but, so it's, hey, Miss Jones, you can use this on anything in the air, but not on the cutting board because it will get dull too fast. That's why we have our trimmer. Now, what's the trimmer for? Small fruits and vegetables. Now, a couple of things for y'all to know. Length, why does someone need a set? Well, length of the blade should match the size of the food. So like they can't just have this one knife because there are foods this big and this big and this big and like you length of the blade means that's the size of the food it should cut. So what kind of small fruits and veggies would this be for if they're about this big? Apple, oranges, pears, trim and fat on chicken maybe, small pork chops, like little tiny things like that, right? And then you would say if you had it, what would you use it for? Right? But what is it not used for? Trimmer. Y'all have all made a PB&J, right?
Yeah.
And when it's super, or any type of spreading, when it's super thin like this, what do you have to do? Have to keep going in, keep going in, keep going in. So we invented a tool that'll help with that, and it's called, and a lot of customers will think they'll never use it. It's the favorite. I'm telling you, everyone loves this thing. Okay, so spreading once, they can do bagels, lasagnas, cakes, brownies, sandwiches, avocados, everything. This has a razor sharp edge on it, so they can cut with it. But what is it not used for? Obviously, it'd be weird if you walked in the kitchen and mom had a spatula and she's like chopping up a chicken with a spatula, you'd be like, what are you doing? That's why we have our petite carver and turning fork. Okay. So it's going to come with these two things right here. Again, size of the blade, size of the food. So rotisserie chickens, cantaloupe, pineapple, whatever. Fork. If you have big fingers like I do, you can get in jars, you can hold things, you can turn meats, you can do whatever. This is more of an accessory piece. If they use it or not, it's irrelevant. It's there. It's part of the set. But we none of the tools so far are used for what? Like big, heavy stuff. And that's why we have Mr. Nasty, right? And if you don't want to say Mr. Nasty, say melon knife. Okay. The technical term is butcher knife, but what if they're vegetarian or vegan? Then you don't want them to think, oh, it's a butcher's knife. So just call it the melon knife or Mr. Nasty. And this is Mr. Nasty. Okay. So this would be for ribs, chicken, barbecue, watermelons, squash, big stuff. Why is that important? So they don't chip any other knives. And it's always good to have one heavy duty. Now, this would not be for what? Chopping, right? I'm not going to cut an onion with a machete. So that's why we have the chef knife, Mrs. Smith. Okay. Now, the chef knife, you might want to make a note. It's so sharp that you don't cry when you cut onions. I'm not kidding. Do you know why you cry when you do cut onions?
So like
It's the pores get you release all the chemicals that are within the pores of an onion. This is so sharp that it doesn't actually release on the pores, doesn't stick to the knife, doesn't get everywhere. And when it does, that's how you know that your cut can need sharpen when you send it back to the factory. Pretty cool. So chef knife, anything chopping, soups, salads, stir fry, stew, stuffing, salsa, whatever. Now, the last two tools in this set is the slicer, which is almost 10 inches long, and it's the exact length to get through the diameter of a cake. So it's good for desserts, breads, boneless meats, heads of lettuce. And then the last one, what's the last part of the set on page 7? Right above that. It's basically the turkey carver that every family needs. You know how most families, they need one good carving knife so dad doesn't lose his mind? Yeah, so this would be for big roasts, London broils, briskets, turkey, ham, all the big stuff. Okay? And they come together like this. And then the last part of the set, we call the ones on the bottom row, what? Table knives, used for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It'll cut through steak, chicken, pork, fish, anything. They're razor sharp. They're not a steak knife. They're our version of a butter knife, but razor sharp. Steak knives look like this. So they look a little bit more like a traditional steak knife. And you'll cover that after the table knives, which we'll get into tomorrow. But this set right here, based on everything that we just went through in this set, if you're 40 years old with 2 kids, would you use all the tools in there over the course of 30 years? What do you think? Yeah, because if you go through each one, it's only 7 knives, 2 forks, and a spatula. How many knives did we say most Americans have? 10 to 20. So it's small set. You want them to understand that it's not about using everything every day, but like y'all all drive, right? When's the last time, how often do you use, or do you think people use heated seats in Florida? But it's included in the package of a nicer car. It is what it is. It's not about, will they use it every day? It's about they have it when they need it, right? Or what about FM, AM radio? When's the last time you actually put on the radio? But it's wired into every single car. Or how often do you think people use like I don't know, what's another feature that no one ever uses? Um, I don't know, like a power seat for the front. Like how often is someone changing their seat on the front of the driver? Once, twice? If they don't split the car, never.
Yeah.
It's been in the same position for me for years, right? Is it really that hard for me to do the manual lift and just push back the seat a little bit? No, I have the automatic. You get what I'm saying? So it's like that. You want to sell these, they come with specialty tools like the cheese knife. They come with other specialty tools like little mini choppers instead of full size. And they come with like tools that were top rated or like the meat cleaver or this one is like a frozen meat knife. It'll get through like frozens. No other knife except this one can really easily get through frozen. All right. So that is the only thing left. Oh, I'm sorry. Let's look at the bottom of page 7. Do you see where it says storage options, wood block? But I thought we said wood is unsanitary. So what we do is the pores in the wood, we seal it with like a plastic concealant so that nothing will soak into the wood. And it's real wood from New York. So we actually chop the trees down, real oak wood from New York. We seal it. The blocks are amazing. I mean, they're all handcrafted, real wood, sealed. They come free with all sets. Sets also, if they don't like blocks, they can do trays that go in the drawer for free. And then all sets come with toxic free, like no toxin plastic cutting boards. And plastic is better than any other ones because it like doesn't dull the knives out. And at the bottom, you want to try and help them get for upsell later. They have dishwasher, we have like kitchen tools, ice cream scoops. Everything we sell is bad at the bone. Like our ice cream scoop, it melts as you go. It's nuts, right? Everything that we sell is awesome. Okay. Questions about anything that we've covered, and how are y'all feeling? That is about 80% of the entire script. So how are y'all feeling about the presentation? Yeah. What sticks out to you the most? What's giving you confidence after going through those 7 pages?
Value. Yeah, like that, those parts will definitely like increase this.
Yep.
Get it. I feel like I'm really confident.